Woo! What's going on, YouTube? It's Donnie B. Yeah, Donnie B all day, rocking the Harley and Maiden at the same time. Oh, with the Derby. So, here's the deal. I'm bringing you a knife that reminds me of one of my favorite knives. This is a Rosecraft blade. This is called the Ogee. O-G-E-E kind of O-G. So, when I first saw this knife, I was like, I wonder if I'm going to dig this at all. And I was kind of possibly maybe on the fence, but when I started looking at it, I said, you know what it really reminds me of? This thing from Tactical Gears. This is one of my oldest flippers that I own, or the oldest flipper that I own. I have had this for a long time. I've put this through a lot of abuse, and you can see they are pretty similar. The Tactical Gears knife is definitely a little bit bigger. It's definitely thicker, but the same D2 steel, and I think the Ogee, the Ogee is D2. This thing feels like 700 pounds, but it's just a badass blade, and you can see how really similar they are, where the main difference is going to be in the grinds. But once I really looked at it and I said, you know what it reminds me of, then I started thinking, this knife might not be so bad. So I said, it's got to get a good look to it. Now, normally, like cleaver styles, when they end like this, I have no need for a knife like that. I've said it before, I'll say it again, man. Unless I'm cutting a block of cheddar, I cannot find a reason to have some kind of flat knife. It doesn't do it for me. So the fact that this one has a nice point, which would lend itself really good to things like bow hole drilling, because it has the point, so you can use it as a bushcrafting style knife. It said, all right, well, maybe just maybe, this thing might not be so bad. So I really wanted to give it a good look. Now, the first thing I noticed was the texturing, and the G10 is great. Is great. That's literally, when I grabbed it and pulled it out, the first thing I did was feel it. And I said, ooh, before I even looked at it. And then once I started looking at it, it got pretty impressive too, because of this blue frame. That right there with the strap hole, not a lanyard hole, the strap hole, which makes it more versatile, is really nice. Now, they went with like a blue thumb stud, but then they kept this and the hardware and the belt clip all like a satin to go with the blade. And I think leaving these satin, but giving your ring in there the blue color, I think is a pretty good idea, because you don't want to over colorize something and just make it look cheap. So they did a really nice job with the balance of color on this knife. Now, there is jimping on the liner lock, which is not too aggressive. It's not something that's gonna bother your hand through use. There's no jimping on the spine, and I believe on the flipper is nice and smooth. And I kind of like that in a flipper. I do like a nice smooth flipper. I like a jimped flipper too. It really doesn't matter as long as it's done right. And you can see by the ease of operation, this one's done right. There's a lot of ways to do a flipper wrong. They didn't figure it out. They just figured out the right way. But I have to say that what makes it work is that they gave it a man-sized handle. They gave it a real grip, something that in this grip, I'm on the grip, right? There's no, I have to hold it like this just to be able to hold it. Nope. I can give it a full fist. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It lends itself to a very comfortable feel. They did just enough right in here, a little scalloping on both sides to give yourself a nice finger well dent, and to give you room to operate the liner lock. It's actually kind of nice. So let's take a look at the specs. Okay, so blade finish is stonewash, D2 steel. Blade style, they do call it a cleaver, but it's modified enough to where you're not stuck at just a cleaver. The blade length is 3.3 inches. Blade thickness is 3.4 millimeters. Closed length is 4.4 inches. Thank you very much, Mr. Snyder. Handle color is black. It's G10 liner lock. It is a flipper with thumb studs. Overall length is 7.8 inches. And it is pretty light. It's 4 ounces. And it is designed by Chase Snyder. Good job. So the first and foremost, is comfortability. This thing, you put it in your hand, and it's not a knife that makes you go, I wish it had this, or I wish it was this. No, it just works. Put it in your hand. It's like, okay, I could use it as is. I don't need to change anything. I don't need to modify anything. I don't need to sand anything down. It just works. It gets in your hand, and it feels good. So it's a little cold out there, a little windy, but I really don't care. I think we're just going to go out and play with this thing because it's earned it. It's earned it just by being a nice knife. Now, I will tell you, there is a slight blade wobble, just a little, but if you saw Choir Boys Outdoors, if you saw Scab's videos on it, you'll know that Scab did not treat this thing gently. He used it to show you that it can take it, and then it's been used some more, and then I actually carried this for a couple days. And what am I carrying right now? Oh, this isn't just my favorite Rosecraft blade by miles. This is becoming one of my favorite blades. I really, really love this knife. Can't wait. When I do the review, I'm going to show you what makes this such a contender for me and why I have such strong feelings for it. But that knife is, man, the Ajuto from Rosecraft Blades is awesome. So let's take this outside. Woo! We got a beautiful sunny day. It's chilly and a little windy, but it's beautiful out. Oh, as far as looking. So here we go. Speaking of looking, we'll get some light shine down on this thing. I'll tell you what, I mean, it's not too much to complain about there. Look at that texturing, is really, really nice. All right, so let's go do some of the stuff. Now, I got a comment from somebody. Actually, he was smart enough to put it in a personal, like a DM type thing. And he said, how come you and Scab never change up your stuff? And we do a little bit. But like as far as the testing, so how come you guys just don't do extra stuff that we haven't seen yet? And I gave him a very simple answer. A, what we do really shows that the knife is capable, but B, it shows consistency. If I took out this and the Ajuto and did the same tests, then you can pretty much get an idea on what both are going to be good at. If I took them out and did separate tests, you're going to have no idea if this one is good for this and this one's good for that. So we try to keep our tests pretty similar, and the only way I really throw do a different kind of testing is if it's a completely different kind of knife. Then I'll throw some different things because you want to be fair to the knife as well, right? But that's why we do a lot of the same. I'm going to cut a rope. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to go try to cut that. The reason we do that is because if you're out knife shopping, that means you're probably comparing different knives to find out what you want. You want to know if this one can handle a task that the other one can handle to maybe help make up your mind. So I hope that answered that question in full. So we're going to start with, actually, you know what? This is a used blade, so I don't know if it's going to be shave sharp. And it's not shave sharp. And again, Scabber gave this thing a run through, so I didn't expect it to be shave sharp. I seen what he did with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a push cut. And remember, it's not fair on a used edge. If you compare this to a brand new edge knife that I showed you, and you said, oh man, but that knife went all the way through, but that knife was straight out of the box. And this one doesn't really matter anyway because it still went through. Not so bad. The wobble is slight, but I can feel it. And I'm just wondering how much it took to get there because this knife has not been gently used. All right, so we're going to do a couple of bushcraft tasks here. Wow, that was really, really nice. As far as the edge geometry and getting through there to make this. So now we're going to do a little Lincoln log notch right here. Notching is bushcraft importance, and it's more important than people think who don't do bushcraft. So they'd say, well, that's kind of stupid, but when I need to put two pieces of wood together and I need them to lock in and sit, that square notch right there, man, you have no idea. The other notch, the half notch, if you want to make tent spikes and things like that, making a notch really helps out. If you're tying things together, having a notch really holds pieces in well. So yeah, it's going to be good for that. I'm going to save like feather stick and all that for down at the other side because I have some wood that's better suited for it. Let's come over here. We'll do the old plastic net test and we'll see if we can't skin a soccer ball, because you always get soccer balls in the wild. All right, so let's see. Plastic net test, not so bad. Not so bad. Definitely outperformed a couple of the others. I think there was only one that really had a hard time, Rosecraft knife, and that was the not the Pocket Monster, the other one, the other red and black one. I can't remember. Oh, the more Malia, I think it was called. That's the only one I think that really had a problem. This one, man, just tore straight through. And if you've seen the videos, you know, man, that this stuff can be an edge killer, man. It's just devious in what it can do. But this thing held up beautifully, perfectly, magnificently, and awesome. So how is it going to do against things like hide? Well, I think you're going to be all right. Now remember, this is an EDC, right? It's your cutter. This isn't your bushcraft knife. We're doing some bushcraft things, some skinning things, some things like that. And you're thinking, well, if it's an EDC, why aren't you just cutting rope? And why aren't you just opening boxes and cutting through tape and things of that nature? And it's because the best knife you have is the one you have on you, right? So if you are in a situation where you do get pinned down and you do get stuck and you do need to survive with what's in your pocket, you want to know that your rope cutter, your box opener, is going to at least help you out a little, right? It's going to get you to the end of the day. So to the end of the day, you're going to need a little fire. This does have a 90-degree spine, so I know I'd be able to strike a ferro rod with that. But what about kindling? What about kindling? Is it going to collapse on me? Is it going to cut my fingers open? I'll keep a nice tight grip just in case without knowing. But it's, man, it's a folder, right? But sometimes, you know, when you do it right and you use the appropriate piece, you can use that folder like you can a fixed blade. Sometimes they just work. Sometimes they just work. And this thing right now, it's working. I'm hammering down on that thing. Let's see. Any extra blade wobble? No, that little tiny wobble, that's not there when it's closed, is all that was in there. It was in there before, it's in there now, but it's so slight. It pretty much doesn't matter. I could definitely feel it from this position when I was getting ready to come down. I could feel it just really slight, and it really makes me wonder because it was there, what it took to get there. I mean, how much abuse did this knife have to take? Wow, these are nice. I'm losing them all, but I'm going to show you. Like, if you can't start a fire with things that look like that, whew. All right, let's try. Here we go. Try to keep some on there. Man, making a nest, a nice fluff stick. Oh, I just lost them all, but it's going to be so easy with a knife like this. You can see how tight those little curls are. Just nice. Just really, really nice. Oh, look at these curls, curls, curls. Girls, girls, girls. All right, so here we go. Some of you people will understand that reference. Mrs. G. All right, so I am just shaving. It is the edge geometry on this knife is done so very well. The wood is uneven. I'm trying to get a nice flat spot so I can get some nice ones here. There we go. And it's just, man, all day long it's going to pull all day long. Those are just nice. Not so bad, man. So this little guy right here, for a cleaver style, this isn't so bad. This isn't so bad at all. It's definitely a working knife. Having seen what it's already been through, I know that it's tough as hell because it survived some pretty good stuff before getting here and being beaten on with a stick. I have to say, this isn't so bad. This isn't so bad at all. At first glance, I was, and then as I looked at it and I was like, well, you know what? It's kind of like this, and this is going to probably be all right. This is more than all right. This is better than all right. This is actually a really nice knife. And the prices that they have over at Rosecraft are better than a lot of prices you're going to find at other places. You'll see a knife just like this, built the same way, same materials. You'll see 100, 120 bucks at some places. That's not this. This is half of that. This is half. That's not so bad, man. So, if you're looking for a nice cleaver style, if you really like the cleaver styles, but you want better than straight out cleaver, this is definitely better than a straight up cleaver. They have that, what's it called? The flat iron. Who makes that? Is that a Gerber? You can get that Gerber flat iron. This is way better. Way, way better than the flat iron. So if you are in like the process of trying to decide what to buy, and that's one of the knives that you're actually thinking about, you're thinking, what about the flat iron from Gerber? This is better. This is better. I'm telling you straight out. Straight out, it's better. Just a nice knife. Yeah, it's good looking. It's good looking, man, and it fits the hand perfectly. All right, so that's it for this one. The OG from Rosecraft Blades. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I am Donnie B all day. Until next knife.